Welcome back to the To Be Fair Show. I am your host, Johnny P.
Oh, here, real.
It's Q.
And we back. Season 3. I know y'all done missed us. We back. Y'all see the aesthetic? We done stepped it up.
Yes,
We
sir.
got logos, plants, lights,
Mm,
bookshelf.
mm.
You know,
On their head.
we progressing. You know, we
Yes,
we
yes.
doing what we gotta do.
Mm.
Uh,
That's Charlotte's favorite.
Charlotte's favorite
Favorite.
podcast.
Yes,
What
yes.
what it is? 234, the To Be Fair Show, Season 3, the Foes' favorite podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Two, three,
Mm-hmm.
four. That's what we're gonna be doing this season. But I think we should just go ahead and kick it off. We got a few topics lined up for y'all today.
So that more recently, the algorithm has been feeding me some relationship conversation content,
Mm.
right? And me being fed that, I kind of came to like this point of where I wanted to kind of think to where did this version of the relationship conversation start from?
Okay.
And from that, it gave me the question in which I posed to y'all. Um, Did Kevin Samuels break black relationships?
Mm. The
Um,
Godfather.
The Godfather. Some
The,
would say The Godfather.
the guy.
And
Rest in peace,
Rest
that
in
man
peace.
too.
Rest in
I'll
peace.
frame this out this way. To me, I think yes. I would say that in my perspective, I think that Kevin Samuels said a lot of like poignant things, but it did not apply to the people that were consuming his content, both male and female. In which it ended up just kind of like derailing the conversation from like more fruitful things, in which will be beneficial to talk to for average people. And it got like it was almost like glory porn for men, where like guys were happy to see him dunk on women. And to me, most of the points are it makes sense, but it doesn't apply to who he's talking to, which is the overwhelming majority. He's talking to like 2 and 10% people, in which most people don't have relationships that adhere to those boundaries. But I don't think that most people that consume his content are able to apply that, and I've seen that bleed through to the majority of the relationship conversation. So, fellas, I'll throw it out to y'all. What do y'all think?
I mean, like I gonna say, my initial thought to that is I don't think he broke relationships. I don't think. I think I ain't gonna say I think black relationships are broken either. I don't want to start off like and say black relationships are broken because I see in my everyday life I see black love, and I see that more than anything amongst my friend group. So I want to start there. But I don't think he broke it or made it any worse. I think
Okay, I guess I'm saying the conversation around black
the
relationships.
conversation.
Yeah, relationship conversation. There we go.
I think the
What's
conversation was
important?
already. I
Yeah.
think it was already broken before he got there. I think he may have changed some terms or made it or diagnosed
May I
something.
ask you what was the conversation prior to Kevin Samuels?
Whatever it was. I mean, motherfuckers had the song "Gold Digger." I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, there was a conversation. I don't know exactly what the conversation was, but
Yeah, the thing was that
relationship
there wasn't a
conversation didn't start with Kevin
right,
Samuels.
but the
I know. I'm
biggest
just
thing,
asking.
Yeah,
I'm just
so I
asking
don't
like
like.
a real
I
in
question.
don't,
my
I don't
opinion,
really remember. I'm not a relationship podcast guy, so I don't.
mm,
I can't go back pre Kevin Samuels and
In your relationships, what was you talking about?
like in my relationships.
Yeah. Like you were 30 before he came out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying my relationships were everybody bring what you got to the table. It wasn't necessarily traditional,
Mm.
modern. Those terms weren't even a thing. It's how are we gonna make this work?
Had
And
you ever heard like a guy say, "I don't care how much money or what you bring to the table as a woman if you ain't doing like cooking, cleaning, and fit and friendly"? Was that like a thing that you
I
ever
mean,
heard?
it was a stereotype. It wasn't nothing I
So you
necessarily,
did hear that
but it
part.
wasn't necessarily I
yeah,
necessarily
I did hear it.
prescribed to, or it's like you got to be able to cook, clean, and do all this to be my girl. No, it was how we gonna make this work? And I don't think that has changed post Kevin Samuels to where people ain't trying to sit down and figure out how to make
You think so?
You know
relationships
the
work.
biggest thing.
What I will say, no, let me finish, and I'll
Go
let
ahead.
you
You
go.
got it.
But what I do think he may have changed is the conversation around it. I think there's a lot of people having stupid ass conversations around relationships now that ain't even like applying that shit in their real life. There's people that's saying whatever they want on the internet and they go back home and it's a totally different.
Gotcha. So you said all that to just agree with what my statement was. Did he change the conversation around relationships?
No, you said did
For
he
the
break
negative.
Did he
relationships?
Oh, my
break
bad. Did he break
relationships? Yeah, I
relationships?
don't think he
Yes.
Oh
broke
yeah, you're right.
relationships. I think
So he
he
didn't
might
break.
have broken the
All right,
conversation
cool.
a little bit, but
There we go. All right, and
Okay, and
I
then
can
for
take an
me,
amendment too. I think
no,
it'd be better if I amended to
no,
say.
let's not amend
nah,
it.
let's not
No, let's
amend
not amend it. No,
it.
Oh
we
damn,
could.
Johnny! I was trying to give you
No,
your flowers and say that you made me amend some shit, but
Well, I
I'll take
did.
no,
it
no,
I
back.
no,
did.
no, no,
I'll
no,
take it back. My
no.
bad.
But okay, well, I'm not answering. I'm not.
I'm
I'm
trying to
not
give you your
answering.
flowers,
I'm
my
not
dog.
answering the
I'll
amended
take the
question.
flowers. I'll
Yeah.
take the
But
flowers,
I'm
but
not answering the amended question. I'm answering
Oh,
your
did he
original
break? Did
question.
he? Okay, all right, cool.
Did he break relationships? And when you asked the
And
question also
I
is what
still
was the
fuck you up on that too.
and
Go ahead.
you also said what was the conversation prior to.
Okay, go ahead.
So what I say is that Kevin Samuels was literally like, at least from my understanding, like I hadn't heard men speak up before that. I hadn't heard men actually stand and provide what they thought. We generally was in the tuck. We done heard niggas ain't shit our whole lives. We done pretty much heard the beating down of the black man our entire lives. And then Kevin Samuels came out and then dudes was like, well, you know what? You know what I mean? I
That
feel
nigga
away
telling
and
me a
I've been
fantasy.
feeling
It
away.
sound good.
I've been feeling away. You know what I mean? What I can say is I do agree that he was talking, but I also feel as though it don't feel he literally kept telling them over and over that average people are going to be with average people. You're an average person, so you're going to have average
You think
results.
most average people consider themselves average, and
But I,
they
see,
think that vice
I think
versa?
that literally is a part of the problem is that he was
that's not on
also
Kevin
showing them
Samuels
No,
though.
that.
but I'm talking about men too. I know
Oh
too
no, no,
many
no!
like.
I'm not
Oh no,
saying
that's
that.
what I'm
I'm
saying. Like
saying people in
I
general.
think in general because he made like his living off telling like average women that hey you ain't good enough for that shit, and which I also
But
don't. I think that was toxic in itself
That's just
also.
what blew up.
But
That's just
no,
exactly,
what
all
blew
right,
up.
that's not what
exactly.
blew up. Like if we go and look up like Kevin Samuels lives, 'cause I watched a decent amount,
Uh
like
huh.
not even a minimal amount. I watched a decent amount. Majority of it does go into that baseline, and even if he's like even if some things are because he understood how to content create. Even if they were agreeable on certain things, he would find a way
To make
to
it.
make it
No,
juicy.
and I'd agree
But
with
did he
that.
not also do that with men before he got?
Very minimal, and that's not what he blew up off of. And most of his content base
I won't say
when he
very
blew
minimal,
was
but I
that
will agree that what did blow him was the fact that he was talking to women.
five
And
more than five.
what I would say is also what I say is also
I
that
don't know how many of them,
it
man,
ain't
but I
it ain't
seen
too
him talk
many
shit
it
to
ain't
men
About
too.
two.
at the end of the day it ain't too many men that's going to give you the response that would allow you to blow up off of it. We're not gonna
It's not
give
true.
you the
Kendra
response.
G right now is blowing up off of doing the reverse Kevin
No, but
Samuels.
I'm talking about as a man talking to men. It ain't as many men that if you sit like he even told like the fat fucker joint when he told Buddy that let's
Yeah,
say that's just one.
but
That's
that
just
didn't
one.
go
I
viral.
seen one. He was like, "How
But it
he
didn't
asked
go
Buddy how
viral for the
many the
simple
women
fact that
was."
you
He
said
was
it
like,
went viral.
All of us know it. Every time anybody ever brings up Kevin Samuels, they refer
That's
to that
post. But
exact
that's
same
actually
one.
post. That's actually after he went viral off of the women shit. He that only went viral because of the women shit,
because he was
Okay.
and people
viral
were
before
doubling
that.
back to that.
Yeah,
But what I'm saying
Oh
is
yeah, to
that
prove that he talks shit to men too.
yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was even more than that.
They did.
It was even more than that. It was even more. I ain't gonna say like one thing that I did. What was the show that Anton was on too? The Lapeef show. Lapeef
Okay.
show, whatever. They would have Kevin on there too. And
Okay.
so what I say is that I've literally seen that in my for me. And then just go back to your question. I don't think that Kevin Samuels broke relationships. And it's rough to say, but I think the relationships were already broken. I think that the relationships were already broken prior to. I think that there was always that if you already look at it, what are the first two biggest reasons for divorce?
money.
Infidelity and money. That's always been a thing that's prior to Kevin Samuels. You know what I mean? It was literally something that we need to not blame. No, we need to take accountability for what
Self
we're doing.
accountability,
And it
especially.
ain't him. It wasn't him. We was already messing him up. It was
Right.
already
So do
broken
you
prior
think
to.
that infidelity and money? So if we say those are the top two things, do
It's
you
not
think
we
that
say. That's just what the statistics say.
no for sure.
Okay,
I'm not like debating it. I'm driving
got you.
into those points.
Based on that
Um.
statistic.
Mhm.
So if we're saying that infidelity and money are two of the top two
Mhm.
things, if I was to just think right now, two staples that I hear men quote a lot of Kevin Samuels is men don't cheat, they exercise options.
Well, hold on, wait a minute.
And to
That's
that point. And to that
but
point.
like this and you know how many men
They,
that aren't at a Zion level with Mariah Mills level?
Let me ask you this.
that quote this. And then his other one is that prior to like everything that I've seen for like the 95, maybe 90, maybe at worst 85%,
Mm-hmm.
men don't care about what they women make.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't apply to most men.
Well, I mean,
Most people that I know are getting houses off two incomes.
Okay, but let me ask you this though. Like,
mm-hmm.
okay, like he went viral off telling average women that they
We'll have average men.
will have average men, and the 1% man that they want
Doesn't want them.
doesn't want them. How is he responsible for average niggas then taking that when he wasn't even talking to them and trying to capitalize off of that and go and tell women and tell average women about how if he identify if a low value man
Oh, okay.
identifies as a high value man, that's not Kevin Samuels' fault.
Gotcha.
But
Especially
that's the
when he
man.
explicitly defined it. He
That's the
literally
man.
told
That's the
you that
man's
you wasn't
fault
that.
for like trying to go in there and use his reasoning on these women.
Right. All right.
That's that
So
man's fault.
I
That's not
guess
Kevin Samuel's fault.
let me try to make sure because I think that your point is true, but it ropes into what my point is. Because my point is that he's speaking to an audience, and the audience that he's talking to is taking from things that don't apply to them.
He wasn't talking to
That's
men to begin with. He was talking to
To
women.
exactly.
So
okay. All right, got you. So in him talking to women, also, holy
No,
shit.
the thing
All
is,
right, so like I can go like really forensic in how I break it down. I can be like really
he go back to the. He go
so.
talk dumb to a dummy. We go
Oh,
talk dumb to the dummies.
it's not even that. No, I guess when I'm talking, I don't make sure that like we're meeting at like a common space, right?
Okay.
Like to say that who his audience was and
Mm-hmm.
who consumed his content.
Mm-hmm.
Like these are like two different things. I think truthfully, men put me on to Kevin Samuels. It wasn't women.
Right.
just for
In
him.
And
general,
like
men put women on.
he had a good audience of men
Mm-hmm.
that enjoyed and watched him as like glory porn for dunking on women because of, to Jeremy's point, this was the first time that you've seen a man do this in public,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like it was like hoorah, Ray. We all like all fucked with it. Like there was a point like I had to go through the process of like taking
Okay.
what he said and
Okay.
dissecting it and finding out if it applies to me. My thing is that in general, his contribution and his impact on it. And
His
as
impact.
I started this conversation, I started it saying that a lot of the things that he said apply to the people he's talking to, but his audience is not that.
But it's also, but
And
you know, the thing
Okay.
is,
I
it's
see what
also,
you're saying.
and
I
I'm
see what
not
you're saying.
disagreeing with
No,
what you're
that
saying.
makes sense. That
The
makes
thing
sense.
is
I give
that
you that.
the reason why it is that the reason why that the effect happened was because the people that were calling in were the same people that he was talking about. You see what I'm saying?
right.
So he was talking about the same people that were calling in. So they would literally, it was like, it was unbeknownst to them that they were a part of being average. So it was literally me just making sure that you understand that you're going to have an average man. And it's actually a great thing to have an average man.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, he didn't really dive into that part. That it's actually great to have an average
Yes,
man.
he did. He took up for average men like all the
I
time.
think that was maybe like that was a very minute
Oh,
amount of
when
like
he
his
when he
content.
got hot, you don't remember how many times he would get hot when they would try to piss on like the average working man. He literally would. That's when
Um,
you really finna get done in when you
like a
start
lot of his
pissing on the average
conversation
man.
was based around top 10% men and what they can do, and what you as a woman would have to be to adhere to a 1% man.
Yeah.
That's what like the major majority of it.
I'll say
Like tell me if I'm incorrect in that.
I
Like
mean,
the major
there was.
majority is based around those two
I
things.
would say that if you say, well, I can't disagree with the fact that he was most of the time he was pretty much telling them why they weren't in a position to receive what it is that they were
yeah.
saying
We can
that
just
they
go on
wanted.
YouTube and look up all of
But
his
not
like his titles. Like it was usually based
But
around
I'm just saying
why modern women deserve less
why what say
and
it one
why
more
they
time.
that's a crazy
and,
way to frame it.
You
But
and
said
but
why
why
but
modern women deserve less?
yeah
Is that
less
what you
than
said?
what they say that they want.
that's a crazy way to
It'd
frame
be
it.
usually
Yeah,
like
That's a
something.
crazy way to frame it.
It
my boy
well, all right. So
going dumb
But
on
no,
the. But go ahead.
here's my thing. Here's my thing. Like when you said the people who took the shit from it weren't necessarily his audience. It was the people that was consuming it. I get that. That makes sense. I
Hmm.
think he unintentionally influenced a group of people he wasn't necessarily talking to. But when you say ruin, I think about intention. I don't think he intentionally, I think he had a very specific goal
Hmm.
and whatever, and then the videos went viral and it had this unintended
right, I just said did he
effect from.
break it? And I think that
Yeah.
what he
I think he
contributed
broke
and his
the
impact of like everybody enjoying it, and again him being that first face of black men without like an actual like other side of it for
I
like
will say
somebody
he
that's speaking about average
So
relationships and average men.
he might have broke the conversation. I'll give you
let
that.
And
me ask you
that's
this
what I'm
too.
talking
Let
about.
me ask you this too.
He may have
Do
broke the
you think that
conversation.
because if you watching the podcast to hear that there are a good bit of women that'll say like, I actually understood what he was saying and I appreciate what he was saying. You've seen that, right?
Yeah, no,
And so you've heard even in real life, you've heard women say like, nah, what he's saying, it makes sense. You've heard that, right?
no for sure. All right, so this is what
Oh,
I said. I think that most women that I talk to, like most rational, logical women,
mm-hmm,
like when Kevin Samuels was coming out, and I was like that. That's I was in dating phase, right?
mm-hmm,
And if he came up, like you can kind of tell people that heard him from clickbait, heard like what his
mm-hmm.
overall message was, and then if you sat and had a conversation, like it's usually not the craziest thing. It's the fact that and the thing is, I don't know if his impact was as bad on women as it was on men. To be honest,
And was his
because of I don't think that most average women are trying to date these guys. And if you
I'd agree.
also propose it as like, ideally, what would you want? Most people ideals are not what they end up going for
actually
or getting
For sure.
and adhering to.
apply that
Absolutely.
question to men though? Like, do you think the men who were low value that took that and tried to apply Kevin Samuels' reasoning, those probably not the women that, or those probably not the men that most women want to be with anyway. Because I feel like if you're not a one percenter and
You
you
ain't paying no
listening
attention.
and you listening to Kevin Samuels and you trying to use the shit that he said about one percenters for you as a motherfucker making 50K,
Right.
you a flaw ass individual anyway. If you
Facts.
trying to apply some shit that don't apply to you in order to make a woman do what she want to do, and you know you ain't a high value motherfucker, you know you work at Home Depot or wherever you work,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you trying to use whatever Kevin Samuel said to make this woman, you ain't shit anyway.
And this is
It's
the
straight
part,
real.
like
Uh,
one of the things that you said, one of the things that you said that I really like. If you is an average dude and you think that what Kevin Samuels was saying about exercise and options applies to you in your personal
you
life,
ain't shit.
you show is a damn fool.
But the funny thing,
You show is a damn fool.
but
You sitting there for you to even put that on social media, which I don't even. A lot of
my
that
thing is,
social media
But I think
stuff
it
is
ruins the
fake anyway.
conversation amongst stupid motherfuckers. I don't think it ruins it
I think
amongst.
with most people, I think right now we're just now getting to a space where there's been enough like research, statistics, and conversations to where people are unpacking it and being like, "Oh shit, most of this manosphere conversation doesn't make any sense and doesn't apply to most shit." And this is actually like this was a thing that I kind of randomly just had epiphany with, in which it deals with the Kevin Samuels conversation in traditional men. Traditional men in the way that my boy Rail tends to
Hold on, let me ask you
hold
a
on,
question before you go too deep. I got a question. Go ahead, go ahead, go
let
ahead,
me
go
get
ahead.
this one
You can
out,
get
and
this out.
then yeah. So I'd love to hear your opinion on this, because of I think that
Bring it.
for you, you tend to speak for like a very specific version of like traditional men, in which I think that it's a great like version of that, in which for Kevin Samuels,
Mm-hmm.
when he spoke about traditional men,
Uh-huh.
it wasn't about position; it was about paper.
Mm-hmm.
He spoke about like a guy that made a bunch of money,
Earned, yeah.
and and what he could like what that allowed him to levy. You as a man,
Right.
a traditional man inside a real traditional relationship,
Mm-hmm.
you speak highly about a lot of intangibles that
Yes.
traditional men do. A
Yes.
man working with his hands, a
Mm-hmm.
man getting dirty, a
Yes.
man doing like a lot of these things in which he never placed any value in that conversation
I
around.
disagree.
But well,
But go ahead.
I'll ask you. Well, for me, that's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, and maybe you can sway me. I hadn't really heard him much talk about what an actual real traditional man was outside of providing like money,
Mm-hmm.
income, X, Y, and Z. When I hear you talk about it, it tends to like take a different shape.
Yeah. Because I mean, as we continue to speak on the whole traditional conversation, I'd say like and as Johnny kind of swayed himself off from the traditional scope as well to say like we in modern times. So there is a modern style traditional relationship because what they're saying is that traditional only means you pay the bills, you pay all of the bills. So to me, that's not what it means. If we're going to define it as simply that, then
Okay, so you agree
then
with what
there
they said.
goes in then that goes into a whole nother conversation. I ain't saying like for me, I don't think that you have to make $500,000 a year to be a traditional man.
Right.
So that what that I ain't say he never said I never heard him say that as well.
Well,
He was
he was
he
saying
was
100.
speaking in
It was like
specific.
100K
He was talking
top
about
10%.
no, he was talking about a high value man. That's not the traditional and high value. Based on my understanding of his definition, were two separate things. So
But
for
he
me,
definitely used that very interchangeably in a slippery way because typically with women, he
mhm.
talked about would you want to be in a traditional relationship, and then he
Well, he asked
equated like
you
high value
what.
to
Too
the men
So
that
traditional.
what he
yeah.
would do is he pretty much would ask them, okay, how much do you think he should earn? Do you want kids? Okay, after well, while you having kids, how much do you want to pay of the bills?
Would you like?
And then that would pretty much push them over into them
eh,
saying that they want a traditional relationship. And so that was just the specific line of question that he used to get there, not actually defining out what traditional
Oh
was,
no,
but
but he
defining out
said
what high value was.
right. But what I'm saying is that his end goal is that you want to be in a traditional relationship.
That's not his end goal. That was their end goal.
Uh, so I think that's I don't think that we said anything different just then. I
Okay,
think
go
that
ahead. Well, I mean, because what I'm saying is
so
that you
but
said that he break
he
relationships, so
led
I'm
them
only
to
going to
he
the
led them to the point in which they said that they would want to be in a traditional relationship.
um,
With a high
yes, they
value
would.
man.
Yeah,
Well,
without using that
but
verbiage, but
he
that's pretty much what
didn't.
they would say.
But his way of defining like what a man looks like in a traditional relationship
Was
was a high value man in comparison to
Like,
like
how do you?
what
I don't see how you.
Bro,
I don't see how you got all of that together. No, what I said is
so
that
you just talked about.
he doesn't necessarily define high value as traditional. He doesn't necessarily
So
define
have
it
you
that way.
heard him talk about traditional men that weren't high value?
I can't say that I have. I can't say
But
explicitly, but
does he typically lead women to say that they want a traditional relationship, and
he
then
leads them to say that they
then
want a
you
high
introduce a
value
high
man.
value man?
He pretty much leads them to say that they want a high value man, which that's generally what
That's
they
what I'm
say. And then
but that's where the flaw is.
but see,
right.
listen. But it's also based in where you defend how you define traditional. Because I haven't heard him define traditional.
Well, that's so you just that's what even as you spoke like a
Uh
second ago
huh.
and you defined it and you disagreed on different terms. That was the point that I was making. Um,
Season 3, we back at it again.
Well, let's go.
Aggressively agreeing again. Boy, I
no,
love
I
it.
Well,
told you.
yeah. So what I and
I'm
I don't
just
know if I
pointing out
even
the
answered
flaws
the whole
in the
shit.
logic. That's it.
I
I
love
don't
it,
even where
bro.
the flaws was, but okay.
Because of like
I mean,
he
we ain't gotta get into it right now. I think that'll be a great place to leave it off, and we'll move on.
All right. So shoot, I've been politicking, of course, with old head. We sit and chop it up by the day about different relationship dynamics and everything,
keep a
and
couple quarters.
keep a couple core. Why you
What a
think
trick.
he said
That's the best
he said
advice
why you
a
think
nigga
I worked
ever
my
had.
whole life?
Keep a couple quarters.
He said,
Couple
why you think
quarters.
I worked my whole life?
Passion came out of that
Some of
statement.
the best
Yeah,
advice a
and the
nigga
funny
ever heard.
thing is that that's his truth.
Hmm.
That is definitely his truth, and I
And I
love it.
like that
I
for him.
love it. I love it. So we had went into and even game night kind of made me think about this. And one of the viral videos that we had from game night, it was the females, I guess, response to the question being asked about men dating younger women. And so as they were talking about like the power dynamic and the reason why a man would want a younger woman, right? And so then you get to hear like the complaints about like dudes not being financially stable, and I'm like, okay, but you choose them, and then you would say a man would choose a younger woman. So why do you think it is? So the question I was thinking of is, do you think that women choose less financially stable men or broke niggas for the same reason that men choose younger women?
Nah.
And I would say, oh, you want to answer first?
Well,
Or
I
you want?
answered first last time, didn't I? I'll let you go.
Okay. And I
Yeah.
think that like the thing to make sure to define is like younger, inexperienced women. because that's typically what most guys inside the space talk about. I think yes. I think
Mm.
that the word I would use is probably leverage.
Mm.
I think both of them you position yourself at a space of leverage. As an older guy with like resources that are talking to a inexperienced, impressionable young woman, like I've heard like the 22 word,
Mm-hmm.
in which I'm gonna be honest, either y'all niggas are talking to 22-year-olds.
Hell no.
I'm
Nah,
going
what
to
did he
clown
accuse
you.
us
Hey,
of?
this he just said y'all niggas are. That's what he
Yeah, like
said.
was
No,
that
no,
an
no.
accusation? You
That
said
was
if.
the
Was that a
My bad. So to
like?
make sure that
Johnny
y'all
got hot.
You just
let me make sure that
accused.
all right. So Johnny, pause. So to make sure y'all understand the framing. I was saying like if y'all niggas,
If
If okay,
yeah,
we
if
ain't hear if.
y'all niggas
no, so that if
talk
was
to,
very quick. He said if y'all niggas.
Okay, yeah. I didn't
hey,
hear that
I'll
either.
slow down my talking. If
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
y'all niggas talk to 22-year-olds,
Mm-hmm.
clown.
as you should.
Clown.
Like I don't think that it's even enough like life experience once you get that old. But this is one of my things. All right, so hold on. This is gonna go
Cause you
into
I
clown
think
your
you set
homegirl.
yourself up for the
a
kill
quick
with
little
Edris too.
cute little moment. And me thinking about this whole like most of the, like the way that guys have been presenting this relationship shit, it actually sounds like
Uh-oh.
35, 40-year-old men trying to find reasons that they can take advantage of young women.
Mm.
The more I just listen to it and how you hear everything presented,
I ain't gonna go all that
um,
far, but
I
yeah,
wouldn't. No, I
I
don't.
ain't going that
like
far.
on this precipice, like when we get into the idea of like a 40-year-old guy should be dating like your the prime woman is a 22-year-old.
But I mean, you
Like
gotta
you have
also.
no real life experiences, and then you don't want her to work, and you want her impressionable,
But I think
not
that's the
having like any real experience when it comes to dating.
Mhm.
I don't know where else to go with that.
time out. I think that's different than the reason why a woman dates a broke man. Because the reason you date a broke
So
man
I want.
is like I can see the control aspect
Johnny came in.
of
Go
why
ahead.
you want to
He
date.
set up too. Look how high he
Yeah,
is in
yeah,
the
yeah.
seat.
Nah, nah. 'Cause I think the
He
reason
up there.
as a man why you would date a younger woman, yes, there is like the control,
Mm-hmm.
the leverage.
Leverage.
But
Okay.
as a woman dating a broke man, if I'm 35 and broke, you still not gonna be able to control me. I'm
Yeah, you
doing
is.
me.
They do. They
Like, what are you talking about, bro?
it
No,
be on
no,
the
What are you
ropes
no.
a
talking?
bit.
That's
What I'm saying is they
a
have more
woman.
control than they would if it wasn't the scenario.
Right.
Just the
If you
same
was a
as.
high value man, it's way different than if Shorty got the bag and you out here.
Well, if she
You
had
you at her crib
You
in
gonna be doing
comparison
some
to she
extra
at your
okay,
crib.
shit.
so if she's
Stop
rich
it,
and I'm
Johnny.
broke, that's different. But if we're both broke and she's broke dating a broke
Johnny,
man,
why would we be? That's not what he set it
That's
up
not what the
as
question.
at
That's not the
all.
question, Johnny. You on the tightrope, bro.
It's not-
I mean, I can go another way too. Cause
Well, go the way that the question
I can
intends.
go another
Whichever
way.
way you want to go with the
Johnny just
question
made
is
a dream
fine.
scenario.
Yeah,
Rewind then.
He
this was
said we
my
both
question.
broke.
This was my
Real,
question.
Rewind.
real said a woman with money. He said, "What if we both broke?"
Because as me, if
The
I
what if boys. The what if boys and girls. Go ahead.
Right.
well, no, I'm just saying like
The what if?
a
That's a
man's gonna
T-shirt.
The
date
what if
a,
gang.
The what if
what if
boys.
The what
man.
if boys.
But I don't think it's for the same reason. I think men and women want different things. So if you're a man and you're dating a younger woman, you want this woman because you can not necessarily control, but you want to mold her and
Hmm.
make her. But if you're a
You want to
woman and you're
groom her.
dating a broke guy,
They don't see them as like
he's
what I
not
typically
moldable. Like
I
I
typ,
don't understand how you could get a 30-year-old broke dude and think you're gonna mold him into
They.
being worth a damn.
I typically see the women that do that. They see those guys as projects.
Hmm.
A 30-year-old broke dude.
You're
Yeah,
working on it.
Johnny,
They
where
can
you
help
getting
them
like your
build it.
information from? Like that's typically what the women that got money and they dating the dude. They gonna try and get that nigga a job. They
Hmm.
gonna like start working on his credit.
Try to
They
get him.
gonna write
They
the nigga
buy him. Get
resume.
him a truck. Get his trucking business
Yeah, like
started.
it's
All of
so many
that.
times that I see
That's
that
true.
exact thing with like multiple
I
women.
have also seen that where they try, and I've also seen the end. I've also
Oh
seen
no, we've all heard
I've
about the
also
end
seen how
result,
that crashed
but we're
out.
talking
Oh
about the
no, but
end.
I
We
don't think that 40-year-old men dating 22-year-olds work out well either.
agreed.
But he said that's
Agreed.
not what like the question was. At.
I don't think
His
it's the
question
same
was
reason.
like, do they do that for the
I
same
don't
reason?
think
I
it's the
think that
same reason. I think it's different
So what
what's
is
the
reasons.
the?
other?
So let me ask. What's the reason for What's the reason for both? And I wanted to actually get, but you said you agree, or you said yes.
I think it's just
Leverage.
Yeah, I think
And then
it's
so what are the two? What are the two reasons that you think? What is the reason that the
Me and
man's
brother
doing it,
agree
and
this
what is the
time.
woman that the reason that the women's do it, and what
Well,
do they
like I said,
prefer?
I think the man does it more for leverage
Mm-hmm.
because he wants to be able to mold this woman. He wants to be able to. I think the woman just does it off love. You could knock that shit down good one time. Like it's a lot
Mm.
of different reasons why a woman might choose a broke man. I don't think it's always for leverage. I
I
think
can
usually
get
a
that too.
man is going to choose a younger woman because he will be able to. He will probably have more money than her. He will probably be able to mold her. I don't think that's the
So Johnny,
same
quick question. So if
case.
dude knocks it down and he's just like not going to do nothing, and she's just going to let that happen, or is she going trying to like build him up and shit like that?
But I also think she is going to be more willing to take his bullshit than an older man with a younger woman. Or the older dude with a younger, probably not
Yeah,
gonna
nah,
take as
but you
much.
you gonna change the question again,
Hey,
Johnny.
hold, real.
It's not changing the
Why,
question.
real? Just real quick. Why you always say don't move in with a woman?
Oh yeah, because you gonna get put out.
Oh,
Facts. Ask any of them.
she exercised that option too.
Yes.
That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying.
That's why you can move in and she ain't moving in.
So I mean, I guess
Well, I mean,
moving.
you. But
I love using like other people arguments to make my point. It'd be fun.
I mean, if you move in as a man,
I got him on my side.
you done gave up that leverage. But you
everything.
don't
It's
have
over.
Right, that's what
but
we
you don't have
nigga,
to.
that's what we just
But you
said.
could date a woman without moving in with her. That's the
That's
No, we talking
true.
about like
that you don't
we
have
talking
to
about
move in with her just because she's date. Like once you do that,
Johnny.
you give up
What
the
do we?
leverage.
Why you keep trying to like move it to different places we not
I'm
at?
not. My answer is I think it's
No.
for different reasons, and I'm
What's
trying
the
to
reason that
explain.
the woman do it though? You just said
I just
maybe
said
she getting
love.
She
fucked,
said
so
she
maybe
love and then he dropping
You
wood.
can get you can get the wood dropped off on your.
Yeah.
There's a couple reasons why women would do it.
also niggas don't simp also.
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Come
You
on,
said
Johnny. Like the real reason. Real has it. Like I think that this is it's
okay,
preference perfectly.
okay. So y'all don't
Like
agree.
both of those people are predators. They're looking to get they're looking to get their
well,
mark.
no.
If you
Hold
go
on, hold
So
on.
yes, they're both predators. They both trying to get some.
I know I used a
I
strong
think
word.
I
I
think
got
they.
Royce on my
That was a
side.
yeah.
But
That was very strong
I
word.
mean, like truthfully, like if you're looking to have this is reality. All
if
right,
you
let's
go
be real.
macro
Like
versus
if we're
micro, the
talking about
macro
like
is the
getting
same. The
leverage,
micro is different.
Yeah, no,
The
I
intimate
agree.
details
And see,
about
the thing
why
is,
the intent overall is the same. The
y'all
intimate
niggas don't
detail.
like when shit be called the truth. Like
that's what
No, that's it.
it's a fact.
that
So
niggas, y'all niggas don't.
no, because
I'm
like
trying to
we get
explain shit, but you
no
don't even
because
want me
like
to
we get
explain.
triggered when we say like
Go
what is
ahead.
like predator, but in reality, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm introducing a relationship to have leverage, that puts me inside a predator state because I'm looking for somebody that is less than me and I'm looking to attach to that.
Okay,
Like that is a predator mindset.
but as predators prey, who is more vulnerable, a broke 35-year-old or a 22-year-old woman? The 22-year-old woman is way more vulnerable
Is
than
that I don't think that that's like
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that changes the answer to the
that doesn't
question.
change the
But
answer
what
to the
I'll say,
question. I agree that
I
that
agree.
person's more vulnerable, but we didn't bring
But
up
so if you're
who's
going
more
after
vulnerable.
more
What I will
vulnerable
say, but one thing
prey,
I will
that's
say,
different.
one thing I will
No,
say
who
too.
said that? Like, there's not a difference. It's like, are they from the
You said
same
is it the
exact mind?
same reasons?
Right.
It's different reasons. This might be the same mindset, but different reasons.
Hey,
It's not.
one
So
thing
if
I can say is
leverage
that
comes, so Johnny, all right. So I just want to make sure I do this. So Johnny, so do you think that? So Johnny, do you think that men and women are different?
Yes.
So do you think that what they want is different?
Yes.
So if a woman is going to exercise leverage, is she going to do that in a different way?
Yes.
So is there going to be differences anytime we point out things between men and women?
Yes.
But can they both exercise leverage?
Yes.
That is the point.
And so,
So like
but you
the way
made my
that they
point too.
exercise leverage is the same, but are they both exercising leverage?
Yes, but
Okay, all
I'm
right, cool.
talking about the difference between how they
No, that's
exercise.
what you're saying.
it's what it is.
That's what I said. That's what I'm
And
doing. I want to talk about the
I
differences.
actually, and when I actually was thinking about the question, to me, it was a straightforward answer, which was yes. But as you dissect it and we go macro to micro,
Okay.
on the top level, it is that you're going to be provided an undivided level of attention, and you know what I mean. As a woman that
You're
is
going. Huh?
as the woman that is going to be the, let's say, the breadwinner or whatever, and let's say she's taking care of a guy, there is a level of attention that she get, that
That you're gonna
things that are
get.
going to be done that a guy that was, if it were the opposite, he ain't gonna put all of that into this shit because it's not necessarily a
He doesn't
requirement. He
care
doesn't
as much.
feel that he has to. And there's
I don't know
certain
what you
things.
mean.
What I'm saying is
Are
that
you going down the lines of like men and women have different requirements for
Talking
what
about
they
like a
want?
homosexual,
no. What I'm
like why a dude who's
what
like
I'm talking about is
No,
what
but
that
the woman
relationship looks
be
like.
hobos like most like niggas don't care. How this is like one of the main points of like the manosphere shit. You can get a
What?
woman working at McDonald's or Target if she's pretty enough, and like you can save her. That's pretty much what Kevin Samuels and
Yeah.
all them niggas be talking about.
What I say is that you can do that though.
as a man.
That's what,
But if a
that's the
woman
same
does that,
exact
But
thing.
what I'm saying,
The
what I'm saying is
shit.
that.
Also, the reality is that
Oh no,
nobody
I don't
ever
care.
does that. But go ahead.
You said okay. Well,
Like
whatever.
like real
hey, just
people with
finish your
money
shit.
don't do
Finish
that.
your shit. What you was finna say?
Yeah. Oh, what I was saying is that I agree with what you're saying that like it's when it comes down to I think that it's more cut and dry for a man when you see men do it than it is for a woman. When you see a man date a younger woman, it's more cut and dry. You can see that he's trying to groom her into this thing. When a woman does it, there's a level of emotion that's not necessarily there on the man's side. There's a level of, you know what I mean? The intent is not necessarily the exact same. She may want to build him up to be this guy that she one day can, you know what I mean? That can
Submit
one
to.
day, yeah, exactly.
So why
So
don't you
I think
date men
that
that make more than her?
She
bro,
might be.
at the
Oh
end
no,
of the
I know
day,
I
I
was
would say,
just messing with
in a lot of those scenarios that those guys just ain't going. It's not that she doesn't attract those guys because those guys don't. The idea of how things are supposed to go is completely different.
Right, and the guy that she ends up talking to, she actually has leverage in that scenario.
No, I'm not saying that. No, listen, I agree with
Oh
it,
no,
and that's why I
that's
said
saying
we
like,
agree at the macro level. But when it comes down to individual scenarios, which what Johnny was talking about, I
but
agree
who
with
would ever
both.
disagree with that? That's what I'm saying. Like that's not like a point
Yeah,
that
but you was over
anyone.
here reeling in Johnny for like 20 minutes about it, and that's the only thing I'm saying
I don't
that
think
now
that you
you.
understood what I was saying. It. My thing is that naturally with men and women, how we how we approach the scenario and what that looks like is going to be different.
Mm-hmm,
Leverage for a man is naturally going to look different than leverage for a woman.
for sure.
But I think it's
And like
important to
I don't
talk
think that
about
that's
that though. If we're gonna say
so. If we
something
want to
about it.
talk, I guess
Yeah, we
I
did
didn't
need
think
to
that was
dissect it though. We definitely needed to dissect it because with the and usually
all
like,
right. So is that so? Then I can join in that conversation.
well, I
But
mean it's over
like
now. It's
all
over now,
right.
but we are like,
I ain't know that that's what we talking
I
about.
handled that. Don't worry. I got that. I dissected
You might have had a shitty opinion. I don't even know because I ain't think about it.
you know, so
Because
like
like if we just saying, all right, so men and women like they exercise leverage in these scenarios.
Johnny,
How does that
wrap it
look
up.
different?
I
Close
got.
it out.
Don't worry. I handled that.
Close it out, Johnny. Next topic. Let's go.
Oh, I think we could leave it there.
Mm-mm.
Hmm.
My question of the week was, how do you love the people that you can't save? And the
Mm.
prompt it goes off. Say this world programs all of us, and based on different parameters. Depending on your situation in the world, you're gonna have a different programming than like I might have. But and not all of us are able, got the mental aptitude to be able to like understand what's going on and be able to like talk about that micro, that macro, be able to like
Mm-hmm.
take a step outside of what's going on in your world. And so like for the people like that aren't able, to see past that programming, to see, the media telling them they should do this, the voting, it goes into a lot black people and not it's a lot of shit. This question it kind of bubbled over to a lot of different situations, but it was like those people that we can't save and that ain't fortunate enough to like have the education, the experience, the perspective that we have. How do we love them, show them empathy, and how do we treat them while also simultaneously hold them accountable, for making the culture better.
Mm.
And that's something I've been struggling with. Like, how do you love the people? You know, even like your parents. There's some shit like when it comes to religion that my parents think a certain way
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to religion, and I'm never gonna get them to see outside of the way they look at religion, even
Yeah.
though I might look at it differently. How do I, continue to honor, show them love, give them empathy, for the way they looking at the world, while also, holding them accountable for trying to make the world a better place,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I struggle, and a lot of it just be empathy, I just end up showing empathy and understanding, but then it's like, how do you also hold them accountable,
Mm.
or is that even a thing for certain people, and
Uh,
that's my thing, and that was my question. I ain't even really have an answer. I was just throwing it out there.
yeah, I think it's and I would say that too. And so I could see that like I can tell in Q's body language, he definitely was going to answer first.
Oh no,
So
I can answer first.
okay, well I'll just go.
Do you
No,
want me
let
to?
me just go ahead. I'll say
Oh yeah, no,
okay, so I
I
was
knew
wrong
what I was
on
gonna
that.
say, so
So
I was yeah.
okay, so I was wrong on that. But what I say is that like, and I have multiple scenarios where it's even so much where it's like not necessarily that they're let's say that they're a part of the problem, so to say. It's not so much as that they're a part of the problem. It's just differences in opinion. And so I always look at it like, I think that for me, one thing I try to do is not have a biased opinion in my opinion. And so like I'm not just right, and so you're not just wrong. I like to hear. Matter of fact, it's a couple of dudes that I befriended in my latter years that do things differently. You know what I mean, in their personal life that I don't condone, and they know I don't condone that type of thing. And at the end of the day, it's literally just the idea of it also depends on if they're willing to have a conversation. Because I ain't gonna try to hold you accountable. I'm not going. It's not my job to hold you accountable for the culture at large.
Can I frame it a little bit different then?
Frame it.
What about like?
Y'all just told me I couldn't frame my question different.
Well, no, he's answering, but I'm
This was you had a debatable question. This is
yeah.
just
This is an
regular
opinion based
conversational question.
because my thing is I'm not necessarily talking about the people that like you just meet in your everyday life. And then I'm talking about like family,
People you love.
like yeah, the people like the people like that
Yeah.
inner circle.
I,
When you can't get to them and they ain't got the thing like family, like mamas,
mm-hmm.
aunties, uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters. That's what I'm talking. I'm not talking about the
For
average
whatever reason,
motherfucker.
it seems as though like what you end up doing is that you are much more distant with them naturally. You're
But
much
that
more distant with them
but it don't
naturally.
seem like
But
the
I
right
think that
answer.
no, I don't. I think that that's just a human reaction to said thing. I think that we naturally will gravitate towards people who are more like minded, and then we will kind of steer away from or have people further away from us who are not as like minded as we are. And so I don't think that I think that it's still the level of love doesn't change, but it's still like you know what I mean. Hey,
The
we don't even
distance,
have. There's not
the
even really
distance
real
might
conversations that we can have. You know what I mean? In a way that is fruitful to me
or
and
you.
or you know what I
Or
mean, or
you.
you're not going to internalize, or you're it's pretty
You're
much just
gonna
a
get
waste of
mad.
time.
You're gonna
Exactly.
like if I say how I really feel about certain stuff, you're gonna get angry.
And so you really just chill and you. I say that's what I've done. I'm not saying it's the right answer, but I just feel like that's the most natural thing that we do is just is to kind of detach from it. Just like we got friends along the way. When you were growing up, you had friends, and they kind of you could see that there was a time period where you were with the shits a little more, and y'all both was with the shits, and then you kind of steered away from the shits, however you did, and maybe they're still there, and it's like, okay, nah, that's still my bro. I still love bro, but I ain't seen him in two
It's
years.
easier to do that with friends, but family,
Even family, like there's people, and I'm pretty sure in everybody's family that you don't necessarily see them unless they come to the joint that you're gonna be at. You don't go to the joints they go to.
yeah,
They
no,
come to the family reunion and you see them and it's, oh yeah, I love you. You know what I mean? It's no love lost. It's just that we
you
just
just can't.
ain't in the position to where we can have this conversation that's gonna be equitable. And you know what I mean? So it's just like, hey, you know what I mean? And then you just have a little, that's who you talk basketball all the time. You know what I mean? You can play little
So
basketball and little,
so you do it at a distance.
you
That's
do it
what.
at a distance and then you just have a barbershop talk when you know what I mean? And it's like for me, like I started getting interested in more of sports and all that stuff just so I can have these conversations with people. Just these on the top of surfaceable conversations. I started getting into like basketball and because I didn't really care. I never sat and watched the full game. I don't think to this day I've ever watched a full game of basketball. I ain't watched a game of football in like whenever Kaepernick. I ain't watched a Super Bowl since the Kaepernick. And it wasn't, and I ain't saying it was because of the protests. It's because I never cared. So I had to get into that so that I can have these more,
That's kind of
whatever
what I'm. That's kind
conversations
of
and
what I'm
stuff.
looking for. Like that, with that answer as far as you getting into other stuff that might not necessarily be what you want to get into,
And I'm trying.
but that's what they like, and they give you okay.
And I did,
That
and I'm trying to tell
yeah.
my old head the same thing, because well, I don't know if you know, but his conversations are all going to be based in certain things. It's all going to be either based in finance,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I
or it's
know.
going to be
Oh,
based in
yeah.
building. It's either building or finance. That's really the only two things he's going to talk about. So he's not really able to have conversation amongst like
outside of that.
just outside of that. He don't know how to have those regular conversations. So I'm trying to tell him like, you know what I mean. It's gonna be helpful for you to get into like getting them into boxing
Sports
more
and
and like
boxing.
some sports, just to be able to have these serviceable conversations so that that you don't really have to make people feel like that's that better than shit. People start to feel like you think you're better than and all of that shit. It's like, no, it's not that. It's just that there's no common ground. I can't find the common ground for us to really converse. And so that's what I literally started getting into more of like just the sports and I still ain't got the whole getting into power and all that stuff. I'm just not going that far, but I'll get into
Never gonna get into this
yeah,
shit.
I'll get into like the sports and you know what I mean, try to do a little more of
Yeah.
that, but I ain't really got too
That's
much.
But I think that
exactly what I was looking for.
a part of that deals with like surrounding yourself or finding people with common interests. The more common interests, like if you could talk music, like that's
Mhm.
like one of those things that's like really surfaceable,
That's
where
another
like you
one.
could be from multiple different walks of life. But if you like an artist or don't like an artist, or like you can talk music on a certain level, that's something that can connect you.
Yeah, but music makes it rough too because what if I'm not intrigued to listen to the rah rah music and that's all
Well,
you
but
listen
then
to and then all I
Well, then you
listen
can't
to
talk
is
about that music.
then exactly
You
then you
gotta
just
let.
got to skip the
no, but
sports
what I said,
because sports is
said.
one that everybody got. You know what I mean? Go ahead, my bad.
Oh no, I think is what I said, things you have in common.
Mm,
It might
So
not be
like
music with your
yeah,
family.
like so then that person is probably not music.
mm,
But like you know what I mean, like finding like the commonalities that kind of hit within that. And you ask it one more time, and then I'm just make sure I answer the
I was just
question
gonna say, how do
properly.
you save? You want the whole prompt or just the question?
Oh, that's cool enough. Just
How do you love the people you can't say?
mm-hmm,
I think that one thing to think about is like what is the purpose of the relationship? A lot of relationships have different purposes, right? In which like especially if you go in family. Like
Right.
family relationships have way different purposes. Even friendships have way different purposes, right? And where I think in the prompt you use the word that is like one of the biggest ones will probably be empathy.
mm-hmm,
I think that being empathetic to whatever the struggle XYZ of during the live we did the Broski record, in which it
mm-hmm,
touched on that to an extent, where like what the guy who was upset was appealing to was like be empathetic about what I did for you in like the whole scenario,
mm-hmm,
right? Um, but I think the empathy of understanding people that aren't on the same page, especially if you're going to have a staggered friend group, some people higher, some people lower, X,
mm-hmm.
Y, and Z, because you're going to be meeting or you're going to be speaking with people at different like phases of their life. Um, Damn. Say the question again. I want to make sure that I stay really, really on topic.
Like, how do you love
Yeah,
the
loving
people you
somebody.
can't say?
And yeah. So I think that y'all hit on the piece where because how do you love? Like, there's so many different ways you could take that statement.
Mm-hmm.
Like how do I do it? Will be real. Where I'm finding commonalities, even though I love you and what you in outside ain't the shit that I'm into. Let's find our common ground. Because I know that we're different, but we grew up like you, my
There's
dog.
something. There's
Mm-hmm.
something there.
Like I love you. You my dog. Let's still stay connected. And maybe some of my fruit can like come off to you eventually, but I know we ain't on the same path, so I ain't gonna hang with you. You ain't my
Mm-hmm.
nigga. You ain't my day to day. But I love you. And it's like, all right, so let me find some common grounds in which I can eventually like throw some seeds in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I can water them and they can go on the trees or fruit or whatever. Um, that's what I would say. How do you love someone? Like I said, empathy. How do you love someone that's different than you? The basis of the relationship, where, um, like again, I think that some people you're with and you fuck with them because of like they push you, and they're always pushing the boundaries of like what you think you can do, or you see them do shit that you haven't done, and like
Let me throw the
that's
other
why I
caveat.
need that. I need that. But then there's some people in which, basis of my relationship, I gotta bring you along.
Let me throw the
I got to pull you up.
let me
Go
throw
ahead.
the other caveat in there because at the very end of my prompt, it said while also
I
simultaneously.
was Martin Luther Quint right there too.
Well, that's fine, but that's what I'm gonna throw. I'm gonna throw a curveball. You know, the end of the prompt said while also simultaneously
Mm.
holding them accountable to like our culture and what's gonna actually be
But I
best
don't think nothing that I
for the
said
group.
like allows you not to do it because of like
Okay.
the
Yeah, but we
people
talking about
that
the
you.
how to though. Like it sounds like to me he's looking for like an actual like what does that look like in the action portion of it.
Right, but so I actually see you right, and I think that you do a really great job of this. Do you find struggles in holding people accountable? So as you
I
think about it,
don't
I think that you typically don't because
I
like you
really don't.
lead with like
Transparency.
your whole person,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in which like as long as I'm leading with that, then like our relationship is based off realness, in which like we can talk and I can get that to you. We have a connection, and as long as there's like a real connection that's not based off of superficial shit, then typically the person that you're talking to ain't gonna look at you as like some nigga that's preaching to them, and more or less like even if I don't fuck with it, maybe you just a nigga that's preaching.
And the craziest thing, I think
But
that
family
literally
don't
works
also
so
look
much.
at it like that. When it comes, I'm thinking more about like religion.
All right,
Like
so so is this a family based thing or a friendship based thing?
to
Because
me, it's
that makes a
family based. To me,
all right.
I'm
That
speaking.
changes a lot of the scope of
I'm
it.
speaking on more so family. When I'm talking about the people you can't save and you
Mm,
still gotta love them, I'm talking about family. Because a lot of times, like friends, if I can't save you, it's gonna be hard for me to love you as a friend.
mm.
But like, I mean, there's certain friends I still do love that I can't save. But a lot of times, if I'm still loving on somebody and I can't save them, that's family. That's I mean, the tie is blood. It's more so than just me talking. It's like I gotta be around you. I don't want there to be a bunch of static, but I also know we don't
Yeah,
agree on.
nah, and I think that with family, like there is a different approach. In which to me, what I typically will probably like what I typically try and do is I find a common ground and
Hmm.
I build that.
Build there.
And then like when that's built, I can insert like different like thoughts and perspectives and ideas.
And the most times people are more intricately thinking than they allow themselves to even believe themselves
To
on the
come off
surface.
of it.
Like
Yeah.
they'll literally like be more multifaceted than they allow themselves to even project at any given moment. So once you show that vulnerability and then you get that common ground there, then you know what I mean they're liable to be then seeing some of the same things that you've seen, and then the conversation is able to move forward. But the beginning is the hard part, and that's why I literally like the transparency thing. Is I lead with that. I don't really I lead with transparency just so I can have conversations with people. Literally, just so that we can really talk about it because like we all fucked up.
Well,
That's the answer to the question. Like the end all be all answer to the question is the greatest question is that yes, we all fucked up.
and
Mm-hmm.
hell, and to some of
So
my family, I might be the one that can't be saved.
right, right.
you know,
Especially when you talk about religion and
some
stuff,
of
they
the,
be
I
thinking you
might be
out
that.
here just
I might be the one that can't be saved. So
mm-hmm.
hopefully, people will see.
Johnny out there talking on that podcast about the black church.
Yeah, and I'm
Did
man,
you hear that?
and then to be completely honest, even as a person that was like, I feel like I'm growing more in faith. I feel like I'm growing more in faith. But what even as a
It
person that didn't,
talk to him about your influence.
even as a
It
person
ain't
that
just
didn't,
mom talk.
even as a person that didn't, I still loved the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I still loved the conversation. It wasn't a conversation where I was going to try to make you feel bad. I wanted to listen. I want to listen and hear how these blocks have made you feel as though you have the strength that you do. How is it that you feel as solid as you do? You know what I mean? Because the thing is, like you can learn a lot from a solid person, whether they get it from this or that. If they have that level of solid, you know what I mean? If they're
They
solid and they have
solid.
that confidence in whatever has made them solid, you can learn. And so I like to listen to the way that it happened. Like,
That's
what is it?
another jewel right there. Learning.
Just really, man, just listening more to you speak, especially when it comes down to not being around where you feel like holding people accountable. No, no, just listen more. At least that's what I try. Just listen more and fucking, it be fire to me, man. I love it.
No, that's a good. Like I said, I ain't got an opinion. That was literally a
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Like that was literally like, I need advice. I got a question. I don't really have no opinion. I like everything y'all said.
No, that's
Uh,
fire.
I mean, to me, it's been kind of. I'm gonna just shut the fuck up about certain shit.
Mm-hmm.
you
Which
know,
is to me also correct answer too. Like, not wrong answer.
I'm gonna just shut the fuck up about certain shit. I already know these people ain't. They might
Mhm.
mean a lot to me, but when I come over here and start talking that, I get son. So it might not even be worth me coming over here and saying that shit.
Right.
Even though I feel like,
But
damn,
see,
y'all need.
Mhm.
Damn, if you just only y'all.
Mm.
But
see, but that
if
that
you
But
ain't
ain't.
gonna,
that also comes
but
with
if
the
you ain't
fact
gonna
that.
take it,
But see, listen, this is to me the first thing is that you don't have the answer either.
right?
That's the thing.
Depending on what the
You
question is,
don't have the
right?
answer either. I don't have the answer either because it's not the answer. The answer to
Sometimes I
the
be
whole
feeling like
question.
I got the answer though.
Yeah, but I mean, but
Sometimes,
it's the thing is
but some
that.
things have answers to it.
What I feel like we're talking about the answer. We're talking about more of like how you should. You know what I mean? The purpose of man
Seeing life
and like what is your purpose on the. You know what I mean?
some of
All of
it's
these
opinion
bigger
based.
than yeah, these bigger than me is
What we talking about,
my
like the philosophical questions? Is
yeah.
that
Like
what you
even
mean?
like religion based and all of these things that
Oh,
like
okay. I
yeah
thought we
he
was talking about like a little
I
bit
mean, some of
different.
no, I mean, it
not
went there, but I mean, and some of it, I was originally more talking about
Like
political and
surface level.
religious, you
yeah
know,
political religious
religion, and those were the ones you get the most static. If you can take it to some of those big picture, that's why I find that I see the most like commonality when I can get it to those, when I can take the disagreement from politics or religion
mm,
and get the connection to a bigger thing. That's when I do see open. But it's trying to get it from here,
mm,
Right.
from
And
that
so,
micro to that macro, and trying to get them is where I get lost and people get mad. People get to feeling a certain type of way,
mm.
and that's the issue.
but
And that's
my
what I was
question to you,
asking.
Johnny, is where do you meet them at? And I think that that's like the main thing. And
I mean, that's the question I
I
gotta ask
think
myself.
that
I don't know. I mean, usually I come in
but
hot.
right. And this is one of my things is that like if I'm like I have multiple different conversational styles, and it depends on who I'm talking to and where my end goal of said the conversation is. If I'm shooting the shit, it's gonna be way different than like if I'm trying to inform you or if I'm debating or whatever. Right? So if I'm trying to convince you to do a thing, I'm gonna approach that way different than if like you might be trying to like learn them something and
And
teach
coming
them
in with a
something.
casual style.
Right. In which like for example like um at I am him, right? We
88.
me and Wayne, we had this conversation with him. Well, like sometimes you have to like if I have a nugget to give, and with him, he was talking to some kids, right? But these kids was like my son, his son, some of the kids around us, right? You can approach this scenario from a different angle than I can, than Wayne can, and these are kids that we coach that we can in general because of you can be the uncle. You can be the cool ass nigga that's right there.
That's not gonna hold them.
Right.
You ain't got to punish them
So you ain't got to get that same conversation or have the same starting point
that I have.
that
Yeah.
I had because I have to approach it differently. And to me, like that's conversations in general, right? So like if I'm speaking to my cousin, who name begin with an R, and I'm speaking to him, I'm not going to come at him and just tell him how he did bad shit and how it's wrong and how he been in jail and shit like that. I'm gonna find like a space of commonality. It could be sports, and within sports, like I'm gonna find a way to like start understanding his logic, and in his logic, I'm gonna start putting seeds in there. And in those seeds, I'm gonna figure out where I can get to where like I understand how he thinks, and I can branch off to get to like how I can implant, like if we go Inception, what I want him to like understand a little bit.
Mm,
And that's like a really big thing. Truthfully, I did it like when Rail came back from college. This was like something that I did, not college, but Army.
mm-hmm,
Like I didn't like bombard you with like these are this. It was way more conversational, and where it was like, did you think of this like that? Did you think of this like that? Not
mm,
that I'm right, you're wrong, X,
mm-hmm,
Y, and Z. In which in that, like I seen like some shifts in like your perspective per se. Yeah, that'd be my answer to your question.
No, I appreciate that. Like I said, I ain't gonna get too much on what I think because I had a question. I ain't had no answer. So
That's
Still
wild.
trying to figure it out.
Oh well, you trying to figure it
I'm
out?
trying
Yeah,
to,
no, that's beautiful
I
to
thought you
me.
was hitting the tap out button, but if you
nah,
ain't hitting the
Yeah.
tap out button,
nah, I ain't tapping out because I don't like. I told you how I've approached it in the past, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no,
it was literally a question because nigga needed advice. I wanted to hear other people's perspective on it because the way I was thinking about it, it's not necessarily working.
Mm-hmm.
any
So
secondary thoughts, real?
No, no, no. I mean, I feel like that was we kind of went about it. It was a full conversation. I think that yeah. I
nah,
mean,
I got what I
I would
needed.
love to. I would love to hear whenever, let's say, implementation does. It comes a point where you're able to
Mm-hmm.
implement something. Whatever it is that you come up with after this conversation, and how you want to attack it, and then
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean, giving
Oh
niggas
yeah,
an
no,
update on how
I'll
how
definitely
it
tell
work
you
out.
guys how shit went.
Yeah.
How I might have tried different shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say the and it only makes sense because what you talking about is building rapport. I'm in sales. That's it's building
Mm-hmm.
rapport, and so it's something that I've not done with people. I haven't rebuilt that rapport. I know these people, but sometimes you got to go and rebuild that shit. But
Mm-hmm.
So Johnny, sound like a good time for the positive takeaway.
absolutely, what you got?
Are we throwing on me first? Um, I think that that's cool. I freestyle king. Listen, I'm one of them like Dallas, Texas, screwed up click niggas. I can go forever. Um,
We know.
appreciate it.
Fucking with you.
Hit them with a little Q-ons.
Little Q wants.
Mhm.
That's all.
Um, positive takeaway. Maybe I think I said that like I'll start it like this. I think that life is life, or even more or less like progression is life, and that's where I'll go. Progression is life. That's a good positive takeaway. When I look at
Mm-hmm.
like my past 3 weeks inside like the different like spaces that I've been at and things that I've pushed, um, and I'll give a couple jewels, and like I'll start off as like life is life and like progression is life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so one engaged new area for me completely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and as a man, I have to get inside my uncomfortable spaces to be positive. I mean, not like to grow. That means like you're gonna meet parents, you're gonna like interact with parents, you're gonna interact with family, you're gonna interact with X, Y, and Z. When it comes down to it, and still being yourself, you still have to evolve. Um, having a little baby girl.
Mm-hmm.
Um, now this puts me like even some of the shit that I say I have to put into the fire, right? Um, and in that it's like this like I enjoyed being able to sit with a bunch of men and talk about what this progressive step is going to take look like and take. And I think that I shout out to like my group, my tribe, my peoples,
Mm-hmm.
in which we're able to like have like these conversations on like a full frame moment and space to be able to have that. Um, that's yeah, so engagement, that piece. Uh and this is a thing that I've quoted to QJ, and I'll leave it at this. Um that has been really big over this week. And like I'm gonna try and make sure that like I even adhere to this as much as I'm saying it, because what I'm saying is based in that. Where I think that there's I wouldn't say like these are the most three important things in life. But this scenario, as you receive it and then take it and deal with it, can change your life. Where there are people that receive advice, that shit be easy. There's people that give advice, that shit can be easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy to give advice. There's people that apply advice. That's the hard part. We all done got the great advice, the good advice.
Mm-hmm.
And
What you done did with it?
That's the thing. We done heard it so many different times. We can apply, and we can look at other niggas and be like, nigga, why you ain't? But when you look at your own situation, that should be a little bit harder. You know what I'm saying?
Some people give advice and can't take advice.
And that's why, like with my son, a lot of what I've been preaching and what like this summer going into his ninth grade year is going to be about is like it's the mental, finding self, being self, understanding self. Where I think I'll run it back because I think what we did earlier, yeah. So like there's 4 books that he will read this summer. One of them in the background on the wide shot, you can see it as 4 Agreements. Um, there's another book. It is called The Secret. Um, there's another book. I am what I think of. And the last one is The Alchemist. All 3 of these books deal with how you as a man you develop and become who you are based off of what you think.
Truth.
And as I told him when I dropped him off, like today, whatever, like the Alchemist has a great quote, and it says that whatever, like what I desire, if like my mental space to it, the universe will conspire. Well, all things in the universe will conspire to make that happen. If I'm approaching it the correct way. Right? This is not verbatim, but that's the concept of the quote.
Right.
You gotta really want
That's the same thing that the Secret says. 4th Agreement says that always do my best. That feeds into that same exact notion.
Right.
And I am what I think of. Like that book is based off this same thing. Where like as a man, the mind, that piece. Positive takeaway. That's what I leave it.
I'm about to go get on QJ's reading list though. I done read 2 of them, but them other 2 sound fire though. I gotta get on that reading list. My positive takeaway for the week, kind of a little freestyle in it, but my shit is I've been feeling this really the whole month. But my friend's dope as fuck, bro. I've been really proud, really happy, really excited for my friends. Not just Q.
Shout out to Hayden.
Q, yeah, my boy, Jeff Suave, Deep Black, he got engaged too.
Yeah, he did.
To my boy
Congratulations, brother.
Jeff,
That's my dog.
Alex, congrats to them too.
Sure.
You and Taj, congrats to y'all. Congrats on the little baby girl. He even go to Black Pearl and the Grammy, or the Academy. He got the Academy. But I've just been looking, and I've been like, man, I'm really blessed to hang around some really dope ass motherfuckers. I ain't gotta look that far for inspiration. I ain't gotta look that far for motivation. Whenever I'm feeling down or something, I can just boom, 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 and I see even when I get down on myself when I feel bad, I can just look and be like, okay, this the path. This what I need to be doing.
Hey, Johnny. So this was a conversation that me and Jeff had, but it taps into what you said, and like we were speaking in general. So like this one, like silo to like any specific person, but in having that conversation, and I think that it applies directly to what you're saying. Um, like he was speaking about like people in which like let me see. All right. I'm gonna just like frame it out and then I'll drop it to you.
Like I
Where
promised my
like
positive takeaway. Huh?
no it's no it is positive and then it's gonna drop positive. Where so like you said you have a great friend group and what we were talking about is that like sometimes like we have friends in our friend group and like they are the most supportive. They like and like there was like inside that conversation we were just speaking about like how like they can like run down X, Y, and Z, and like it's amazing. And now, even us as friends, like we have to push it to the space. Like we want to see you be great. We want to see like we want to cheer your accomplishments X, Y, and Z. In which like this is not specifically like to you, and that's not where the conversation was at. But I think that applies. Where like I appreciate you giving me flowers. I appreciate. I'm sure like all three of them they give appreciate it. In which like now my next thing of like I really want to be proud of like Johnny P's next step.
No, I feel that. Me
Like
too.
I don't like don't. Oh no, for sure. And
Me
it.
too, for
But my
sure.
thing is that I know it's coming, and I'm waiting for it.
No,
And like I want to make sure I put that battery in your pack in this moment. You know what I mean? To where
no. That's
I
motivation.
can't wait to be like doing that same cheering. To
No,
where like whatever that next goal is that you hit.
that's facts. I mean, I appreciate that because
Yeah.
no, I mean that is motivation for me to go
Hmm.
and get that. But I mean, it'll be there. I don't know what it's gonna be
Oh
or
no, for
when
sure.
it's gonna be, but
I'm just putting that battery in it,
yeah,
charged
yeah.
up,
Nah, when it come, I definitely
charged up.
y'all niggas gonna be the first call.
Yeah, I like that.
Y'all niggas gonna be the first call. Hey, Tom, let me get number two. Let me get let me get number two. Cause nah, I definitely appreciate that, and like I say, it's coming. But I gotta get the flowers, cause
Hmm.
it it, it it's the motivation to me. It's the fuel.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, when I feel bad or when I'm going through shit, I look at my niggas, family too. And it ain't it ain't just siloed to this group, but I got a lot of dope ass people around me, a lot of dope
And it's
ass shit.
motivation.
And it's motivation, but it's also like when I go to sleep, I already know that I'm covered. I
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
already know I got people that's
Hmm.
dope as shit, did dope shit. People done said I done did dope shit, not thinking it not, but
Mm-hmm.
it's that support, it's that village that I'm in.
Hmm.
I feel it. I've been feeling it a lot lately, and that's just that's just my positive takeaway. I love the situation I'm in. I love the people I'm around. Uh,
That's fine.
yeah, that's just it. I ain't even
Hmm.
gonna do too much. Elaborate too much more. But I just love my people for sure. That's my positive takeaway.
Hmm. My positive takeaway. Let's see. I guess I'm gonna just run with the one that came first. I just had another one that I thought was, but it's kind of coming through. But we're gonna go with I like the and this is gonna be, and I think this is not just. I guess I will just phrase it. Well, no, I'm gonna phrase it to everybody. Be more vulnerable.
Hmm.
Be more vulnerable, and I'm not talking about like we hearing that a lot in like the man space of things right now, and it's not a bad thing at all. You know what I mean? But it's more that what they're speaking to is more just in relationships. What I'm speaking to is like something that's like a just a regular practice. It's just an everyday all at all. You know what I mean? Just
As a
being more
human.
vulnerable. Yeah, because what we with social and I ain't gonna just blame. But no, social media has literally allowed us to believe that life is supposed to be something that nobody is living. Nobody's living this thing that social media portrays. And we all know and acknowledge the fact that we also put these soundbite things that make us weird just have this philosophy that we would just this statement that we're gonna make this changing like that is what that is, but being vulnerable with your people is what gonna let you know whether you got solid people around you or not. And that's what begets real growth and real relationships. It's the ability for you to be for because there's no reason for me to hide me from you. Why do I what reason do I have to hide me from you? If I choose to be around you, then why do I hide myself? So I think that right there is one of those things, and I think that's
101.
one of those make the world a better place type things. Like if we're more willing to let that guard down, that pride. And you crazy thing, I was looking at something earlier, it came on randomly. It was a pastor. He was talking about. Oh no. As a matter of fact, it was Jordan Peterson. He was talking about how pride was actually one of the biggest sins. That was literally like the worst thing. In I haven't read the Bible, but he was actually talking about how pride was one of the sins, and I ain't gonna go into. He went into a whole Pride Month thing. I ain't going into that space with it. It's just the idea of pride itself, and the how much it deteriorates positive relationships, and how much it deteriorates the ability to grow. I think that the vulnerability is something that would take us as people and our culture to the next place.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my positive takeaway.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, and like you say, like as a human, as
Mm-hmm.
a person, you gotta. I showed you that shit with the ecosystem earlier.
Yeah.
You
That in
know
the bottle
about
joint.
the in the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
It was a dude. He put an ecosystem in a little glass bottle in 1960. He ain't opened it till 1972. Put some more water in it. Still did. And this shit's been closed since 1972, and it's still living. Just an enclosed ecosystem. So that's like that vulnerability. You got to, it just helps sustain. But I think this was a good show.
Yes, sir. Season
We
3. We just getting started
yeah,
out there,
season
big.
3. We getting started. When we kick it off, I want to say like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification button.
Mm-hmm.
One of those down there. Uh, Go follow us on Facebook. Go follow us on TikTok
Mm-hmm.
and Instagram
Mm-hmm.
at the To Be Fair Show.
Yes, yes.
I'm your host, Johnny P,
Oh, here, real.
It's Q.
and we out. Season 3.